Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and look to see whether 20K could potentially be the new 10K. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, get the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we followed Bitcoin systematically for a long time now, and many of you remember what it was like at 10K. And in this video, we're going to just take a step back again and look to see what could happen and where things could still be very much on course. Now, one thing that could theoretically happen that everyone is hoping for to some degree is Bitcoin breaking 20K in the short term. And we must admit that this is definitely a theoretical possibility. There's definitely a good chance that Bitcoin could break 20K. It would not need to rally that much from here at 19.4 to break 20K. And if it does break 20K, the market could get somewhat crazy in the short term. Now, in that type of situation, if it were to break 20K, we must then think about, okay, well, is this 20K sustainable? I would argue that the first time we break 20K will not be the last time we break through 20K to the upside. What that means is just because we break through 20K does not mean that we have to go up from that point forever without coming back down below 20K. Now, what we're going to do is look to see, could 20K be the new 10K in the sense of is there a chance that this could take a while to break? Whereas, maybe we go above it a little bit, like we did with 10K, but is it going to be sustainable? And let me show you what I mean. If we take a line and just put it at, say, 10K, and we'll do it at just at, say, approximately 10K, there's no reason to be exact, and draw it all the way across, you can see that we had several occasions where we held approximately 10K as resistance, right here, in this region. We finally broke above it on the fourth attempt. So this was first. I mean, this doesn't include the bubble of 2019. We always recognize that these bubbles can get quite crazy and can just blow past any type of preconceived resistance levels. So one barrier, one test, two tests, three tests. This was actually several tests. You could say 3, 4, and 5 tests. We came above it on this test and then back down, held as support on the 20-week moving average, which we know is our bull market support, right? So it's pretty nice when you look back at it. Obviously, during the time, this was stressful for a lot of people. This was very stressful. And if you take a measured move from just from say the date, I should say, from when we first dropped below 10K, if we presume that we're now at a sustainable 10K, which I think there's a good chance we are, then it took us about 353 days or almost a year from when we broke below 10K to when we first were confirming it as support. So we recognize that these barriers can sometimes take a while to break, okay? They can take a while to break. And it doesn't mean, of course, that we cannot rally above them in the short term. Each of these tests, in fact, had rallies higher than 10K. This one went to 10.5. This one went to around 10.5 as well. Here we went to around 10.2, 10.4. Finally, we broke above it, came back down slightly below 10K, and then we were off to the races. So it's not that this 20K is any, say, magical resistance level that can never be broken until we've tested it, 20 times or something. But I do think there is a pretty big psychological level there in terms of once we break it, or if we were to break it, then I imagine the altcoin market could get quite heated really quickly as people start to FOMO in to other cryptocurrencies if they feel like they've missed the boat on Bitcoin. So what we're going to do is I just want to do a bar pattern. These are sometimes fun to do. Obviously, they're in no way indicative of what is about to happen, but it's sometimes nice to look at this because it can give you an idea of things that have happened in the past at what you might call resistance levels. Okay, so if you take a bar pattern and just copy that and then put it over here, you can see there are a lot of similarities. And so if we were to live through what we lived through back here, we may expect to see something like this. Several continued tests of the 20K, right? We might, and you can see we already went up to it. If we zoom in, we went up to it and then back down, back up to it. If we were to repeat the test at 10K, it would mean we would go back down, maybe to 17K, back up, maybe above 20K, and then continue on. And this is just an exercise. Obviously, this doesn't really mean anything. But what I also want to do is do a bar pattern from all the way over here to where we finally, broke above and continued heading up. So if that were to happen, which obviously there's no real guarantee that it would, but if that were to happen, then we would see something like this. If in fact we were to relive through what happened at 10K. So it could indicate, going up as we did to 20K, back down, back to 20K, back down, back to 20K. This would be going sideways through February, still below 20K. If we were to repeat exactly what happened at 10K, back above, blowing past 20K up to say 25K, back down, testing as support, and then off to the races. And if that were to happen, then you have to imagine that this 20-week moving average is going to continue coming up, right? And I don't know where it would exactly catch support, but maybe something like that if we were to see history repeat itself. Okay, this would be if we were to see history repeat itself, and then from here, I don't know what it would do. It could still come back down and test it, or it could continue higher. So this would just be if we saw an exact replica of the test at 10K. Hence the title of the video is 20K the new 10K, in the sense of, is it going to take us a long time to test it? But again, you also have to recognize that it could also take longer. This was just the final test of 10K. We had other prior tests of 10K as well before we ultimately broke through. So it's not to say that this even has to theoretically break through, because we also recognize that while all of us, or I would say most of us, are fairly bullish, I think it's okay to always exercise a little bit of caution. We all want to see Bitcoin go up, at least I think for the most part. Most of us want to see Bitcoin go up, but at the same time, we're not operating on the deterministic mindset that it has to go up 10x in the short term, because there's also a very good chance it doesn't do that. And so with that in mind, if it were to take longer, it would not be, it doesn't mean the bull market's over or anything. In fact, we are well above the 20-week moving average, which is, historically our bull market support, right? This is where we hold support in a bull market. We're still... the 20-week is pretty far away from where we currently are. So you just something to keep that in mind as we think about where we are within the grand scheme of the market cycle. And if you look at the BLX, you can see that the first time we tried to break our prior all-time high before an 80% retrace, we just blew right past it, right? We just blew right past it. It's like it wasn't even there. The second time, we actually we went up to it, came back down, went slightly over it, came back down, and then passed it. We also recognize that there's going to likely be reduced macro level volatility as we continue on throughout the market cycles. So while it's possible we just pass it like it's not even there, and do something like this and then come back down and then continue higher, certainly that is possible. However, what we also know, something else that's possible, of course, would be looking at, let me put the 20-week back on here. So we're just going to put the 20-week moving average, our bull market support. So we also know another possibility, which actually would be what happened last cycle, would be going back down to the 20-week moving average, wherever that may be. And it could it could happen after breaking the prior all-time high, right? We've already gone past the prior all-time high. It could correspond to going above 20K before coming back down to the 20-week moving average, right? We also know that this is a possibility as well. So if we look at the macro level trend line, we've drawn this before. It has been a while since we drew it, but if you look at this macro level trend line of Bitcoin, which obviously the amount of weight that something like this carries is probably not that significant, but I think it is interesting to see, just how many times we've been on this trend line. If we were to zoom in into this trend line and look to see, okay, well, is it possible that we come back down, right? Is it possible that we come back down and then continue to work our way back up, right? Let me get this trend line. I didn't even draw it that well. Let me fix it on that bottom that we had here. So if you look at this trend line that we've had for a long time, right, we can see a lot of different areas that we were testing this trend line. Is it possible we come back down and test the 20-week, go back up and then break it later on in a more convincing manner in 2021? Yes, it's possible. So I just want people to remain cautiously optimistic, right? It's an exciting time. I think no matter what you think Bitcoin, what you might think it do in the short term, I think most people, if you're following this channel, you would agree that over the macro scale, it is trending upwards. I think the main arguments just come in terms of exactly how high we will go and how long it will take to get there. I don't think most of the arguments, in the cryptoverse, anyways, are not will Bitcoin break 20K. It's just a matter of when will it break 20K? When will it break 20K in a respectable manner that is sustainable, like the respectable manner that it finally broke 10K, came back down, tested it as support, coinciding with the 20-week moving average, and then continued on up. When could that theoretically happen? And I think that is, that's ultimately what we want to see. We don't just breaking 20K in the short term does not automatically mean that it has to sustain it, because we're also coming off a move that has us just in the last, just since the end of August, that has us up around 90% or so in a very short period of time. And if we were to continue higher to say, from say late August up to say 25K, then that might be a 160% move in a relatively short period of time. So we're going to be here for the entire cycle and beyond. And I just want people to always stay level-headed. Don't assume that any specific narrative has to happen. As we've always said, all models are wrong. Some are useful, and a lot of times it can be very useful. And just always being, if you are optimistic or you're bullish, always being just somewhat cautious, and by maintaining a healthy level of skepticism, it will allow you to not FOMO into the market during crazy runs, and instead better try to get into the market when it makes more sense to get in, not to chase crazy pumps, right? Get in when it's low, don't chase the pumps, just be ready for them to happen. So we're going to be here every step of the way. It's an exciting time. We certainly could break 20K in the short term. We could rally above it. The altcoin market could get crazy. If that happens, I will want to remind you that if you do own a lot of altcoins and they do get somewhat overheated, remember that these altcoin, these altcoin phases, these altcoin mania phases, altcoin season, as some people call it, do not last forever. So taking profits can generally be a good thing. Obviously, if you're in it for years and that's your strategy, then that's great, right? That's your strategy. But if your goal is, say, to increase your Bitcoin stack, or to increase or to just make some money so that you can go buy a house, go do something, just remember that these altcoin seasons will not last forever. We've had so many of them, and a lot of the altcoins you may follow, they have those phases where they go crazy, and then they also have cool down phases where a lot of people wishes they had taken profits but never did. So we're going to follow this, and in the event that Bitcoin breaks 20K, which it broke 10K several times over the last year, right? It did go above 10K several times, but it didn't do it in a sustainable manner until over here. And so we're going to keep an eye on that. The markets can get crazy if we break 20K, but recognize that coming back down is always an option, and it's not the end of the world if that happens. It just means we need to hold the line at the 20-week moving average to maintain the integrity of the Bitcoin bull market. So if you guys like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel. We have the Black Friday deal still going on. You can check that out in the description below if you want to get locked in at a lower rate. You'll get access to the weekly premium reports, the weekly premium videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the dynamic DCA dashboard, and the trading view indicator. So you get access to a whole lot of stuff. You can lock in the lower rate. Make sure you do so before the link expires. Let's get to 70,000 subscribers. We should get there within a week, I would say, probably less than a week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel in the description below. That'll wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.